in a minute. I need it. Okay, you know, this class is just an introduction. Okay? Just an introduction because really this prayer or this actual, what we call the 42 letter name of God, which is commonly called the Ana BeKoach. Ana BeKoach, which means, right, please, actually it's the first two words of this prayer. Okay? It is in every siddur. It is said multiple times. And this is supposed to be the prayer. Okay? 42, as we know that in God there are many names of God. Right? We have a 42 letter name of God. Right? There's a 72 letter name of God. There's a 216 letter name of God. Right? We have the number classic 4 letter name of God, Yud Kei Vav Kei. And then you have, 216. And then, of course, we look at in the entire 5 books of Moses, from the first letter to the last letter is one long name of God. Okay? The entire Torah is one long name. Okay? So, but this is a very significant one. This is the magical one. Okay? Many stories taught about people who meditate on this. Okay? And there are parameters on the meditation of this. Have you ever been heard of this before?
No.
Okay. So, it's called the Ana BeKoach, and it's said classically because the segment that we're talking about is the mitzvah of counting the Omer, Sfirat HaOmer, and this thing that is said every single night during the days from Passover to the holiday of Shavuot, as is a 49-day count. Each night we count, and each night we have these certain prayers that we say after we do this special counting. Okay, and we've discussed all the whole idea, what it is, the count. But we're going to talk about just about this prayer. Like I say, this is an introduction, because this prayer, I got a book this thick just on this prayer. Okay? David Comet, friend of mine in San Antonio, he's very scared of the Ana BeKoach. Okay? Because he started to meditate on the Ana BeKoach, and then my father-in-law, says, it's time you get yourself a Jewish child. Because he had children who were not Jewish. In assimilation, it happens, right? Time you get, and lo and behold,
His wife got pregnant.
it wasn't his wife, he wasn't married.
Oh.
But he got himself a Jewish child.
Wow.
From a Jew. And he's going, man, that Ana BeKoach. I'm afraid to say it now, okay? But it's said to be the miracle prayer. We're going to get into it and all of the special properties of it, okay? But and my own personal relationship with this prayer, when I was in yeshiva, when I was in rabbinical school in Jerusalem, I, in my early days, took upon myself to go to all of the Kabbalists that I could. I missed one, the biggest, of course.
Who was that?
Baba Sali. It was Nativo, it was far away, but I ran to every big mystic that I could for a blessing and for what we call a tikkun, a rectification, fix my soul, do the spiritual MRI on me and tell me what I need to do to fix, right? And, and I got it from a lot of Kabbalists. One was very interesting in particular, very interesting, this one, because I wanted to get married and I wanted to fix myself so I would be, have a happy life, So one Kabbalist says, you don't say this every day? He says, every day you must say this. In the morning prayers, it's built in. There's the karbanot, which are the offerings, the daily offerings. You have to read it. And then you read this before you pray. And he was very adamant about that. And ever since then, thank God, I managed to say it every single morning, and we'll see. But just a little bit of history, okay? Really, this 42-letter name of God originates, it's hidden. It's brought down in the ancient mystic works of the Zohar, written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. that it's really hidden in the work of creation, the very first verses of Genesis. Because if you can't 42 letters, into it, in between words or something, they have. We'll get into it, but I'm not going to go into that in detail. We're just going to do a intro class. But of course, this name, as you'll see in this column here, the Hebrew. You see this column here, right? Okay, because if you count the letters, each line has 6 letters in it. And if there's 7 lines, and 6 times 7 is 42. But we're not allowed to say it as you see it in that column. We're not allowed. Okay? And we're going to get into that. But there was a huge sage, a great sage, and not really well brought in the Talmud, mentioned very few times, but he's said to be one of the earliest sages of Israel, came up with this prayer, that in this prayer that you see right alongside of it, every first letter of this prayer alongside of it is one of the letters of this name. Okay? So if you can read Hebrew, I'm sorry you can't, it's the English is here, the translation is right here on the side here. Okay?
You can see the similarity of looking at the letters, like the Aleph this is an Aleph.
It's the
Aleph
first letter of each word.
Right, the first letter of each word corresponds with that name that is next to it. These are actually the name of angels. Okay? So we say Ana is the first word, BeKoach. So that's the first 2 letters. That's why it's called Ana BeKoach, which means, right? Ana, please, with the strength of your right hand, free, right? As you hear here, with the strength of your right hand's greatness, untie the bundled sins. Strange. Okay?
So does it call upon the angels if you were to say them?
It's an automatic call. Not if you say them. Don't say them. A person can incur spiritual damage if they're not on the level. There are certain names we're not allowed to say. I'm sorry to bring you in, But after Shavuos, we're going to start with a kind of a fresh start. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a version where it says the word in Hebrew so that
Transliterated?
I can sound it out? Yes. I don't need it now, but after class.
There might be one here.
Okay.
Okay?
Because I'd
Might
like to
be.
be able to say it.
Might be. Okay, otherwise, we're going to have to do it for you. He'll do it. Okay. Okay.
Google.
So the rabbi's name, whose name is Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana. Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana was one of the great ancient mystic sages. Okay? Not much is known about him. Okay? So they say he was a contemporary of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was one of the students of Hillel. Actually, they have many students of Hillel, right? The biggest, was Yonatan ben Uziel, students of Yochanan ben Zakkai. Yochanan ben Zakkai was at the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. Period. Okay.
Yehuda ben what?
Yochanan ben Zakkai. He was a leader of the Jewish people at the time, right? And he was their enumerating of the greatest sages was Hillel. Hillel was one of the ancient great sages and had many students. His highest student, his name was Yonatan ben Uziel, and that guy, basically they say this story. How to understand it, whether it's literal or figurative, is another story. But they say when he was sitting and learning, if a bird would fly over his head, it would get singed. It would burn up. We got roast dog for dinner. Okay, what? But so in other words, I guess the level of his connection with his Torah study. They say he was not married. He was married maybe for a short time, and he's buried outside of Sfat, about a 2-hour walk. I know because I did it. Because the legend is, the segula is, the special energy is. He says he made sure he had himself buried in a remote place. And he said, whoever comes to me, they will see their shidduch, their zivug, their soulmate within a year. Okay? And there's lots of stories. Now people just drive to it. I did the walk. Okay? I walked from Sfat all the way through the forest to his grave. Okay? In any case...
And?
What?
Did it work?
He's married.
I saw.
I know, but
Oh,
was
you
it
really
within
want to
that
know the
year?
story?
Yes, duh. You can't
I saw
start
her.
that.
I saw her. I didn't
Really?
marry her.
Okay,
I saw her. I didn't know that she was going to be my wife,
okay,
but I saw her.
okay, all right.
Okay?
That's something.
I was 21 and she was
At her dad's,
12 years old.
Oh, right,
father was
right.
just-
It was
Okay.
years later.
Right. I'd
He
wait.
wasn't ready.
I'd wait. But I saw her.
There you go.
Okay?
It happened.
In any case, he was the greatest. But then they say the lower, which is like, forget about it, because they describe Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He knew the language of the birds and the trees, and he knew everything. This guy was fluent in everything. He knew how to speak to demons and angels and everything like that. They were all mystics, huge mystics. So in that period of time, to get into to get your name mentioned in the Talmud, the prerequisite was you had to be able to revive the dead. It's not that there was they checked your records to say, okay, we see you haven't done it yet. So, but they were on that level. Okay, not that everybody needed to do it, but they were on that level. Okay. In any case, so he was a contemporary of this great sage Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the leader of the Jewish people. Okay, so he flourished in the 1st century, living to an extreme old age. In one Talmudical account, we find him in the presence of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was giving a discourse. One of his disciples asked him a question concerning a certain biblical passage, and Nechunya ben Hakava gave an explanation. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says his is better than mine. Okay? So, the true stature of Rabbi Nechunya becomes evident in what we call the Hechalot school of Kabbalah, where we find the greatest sages of that generation. They would sit at his feet. Rabbi Kiva, right? Rabbi Yishmael, the greatest sages would sat at his feet. Now, the greatest story, Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana, who wrote this prayer, okay? But the greatest story was this. Now, he would go into meditative trances, extreme, the other worlds. He was definitely somewhere else. His body was there, but he was somewhere else. And one time the sages, the rabbis, they had a question, and they needed to ask him the question. But they're not going to go, hey, what's up? No. How are we going to get him? We need to ask him. He's the guy. He's the one to ask, right? So what they got was they got a woman touched, who maybe she was in her menstrual state. Maybe she was. Touched a garment. Maybe she touched the garment. We don't even know if she touched the garment. And we took that garment, and they just put it, as soon as they put it on his lap. So all of a sudden, right, he comes back down. Okay? In other words, they kicked him out of the halls in heaven, of the other places that they have, and all of a sudden he's like, what do you want?
Why'd you bring me back?
Right? He's meditating, gazing into the orchard. That's the Pardes. Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Kiva touched him with the gown of a woman who was only questionably unclean. And then he was dismissed immediately from before the throne of glory. Okay? So, anyways, that's where the level that he was. Okay? Not much is written about him. He wrote this prayer and other great prayers. Another awesome prayer, actually, that is also a basic prayer, is when a person comes to study, and maybe I'll have to introduce that to you another time. When a person is coming into the study house to study, he has to make a prayer that if he makes a mistake in his learning, that his friends shouldn't be happy. And if his friends make a mistake in their learning, that I shouldn't be happy. In other words, everything should be pure and truthful. We should be just for the learning, for the sake of heaven. And then also a prayer when you leave the Beis Midrash, like, thank you, God, that I'm among the people who gets to be attached to the Torah. Okay? So then, that's just a little introduction who wrote this and the greatness of that sage. Okay, so now we're going to get into this. Okay? All right. So we talk about the 42-letter name, okay? And I told you that that the actual saying of the name, we only hand it down. This is the tradition. It's brought down in the Talmud. in Kedushin, right? Daf Amud Aleph, Daf Ayin Aleph. He says we don't hand this name over. I guess there is an inner circle of people who hand over the names, the real pronunciation of the names. We only give this name over to people who are modest, humble. They have to have lived half their days, okay, whatever that means, right? These days, who knows, okay? He doesn't get angry, and he doesn't get drunk. I'm out, okay? The Eino Ma'amid al Midosav, and he doesn't stand on his midos. What does it mean to stand on his midos?
Character.
Yeah, but it means like he doesn't demand the pound of flesh. He doesn't go like, I want this. This is coming to me, and this is what I want, and this is what you have to do.
Standing on ceremony?
There's a thing called ma'avir al midosav, which means he forgoes what he could rightfully ask for in a business deal or any other altercation or relationship, right? When you let go and you're saying, it's okay, I don't need to like say, hey, you should talk to me a little bit more nicer. He's totally okay. He's ma'avir al midos. He lets things go. Can't be somebody who's always a stickler for rules and things
chill.
like that. Chill. There you go. That's the 2017. He doesn't stand on his lines. Okay? He doesn't stand on his measurements like demanding the pound of flesh. Okay? It's no. Ma'avir al midosav is one who forgoes when he could make a strong request, or we would call it maybe a demand, and he says, "No, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna let it." He lets it
So
go.
like she said
Believe
before,
me,
it doesn't stand on ceremony.
I don't know what standing on ceremony.
Well, you don't demand that people treat you as though you are king or
right,
whatever.
right, and and if people like embarrass him, he's okay, or people like right, and so totally okay.
So if someone
People, cut corners and they rip him off a couple of pennies. He's not going to say, "That's another 2 cents there, buddy." Okay, so By the way, these people who are ma'avir al midosav, they are marichin lehem yamav. They get long life. There was a great story in the Talmud where, I heard this, I'm like, that's Heaven Can Wait, from my past life, Heaven Can Wait, where Buck Henry accidentally took this football player in an accident. He took him too early. He wasn't supposed to go. He took the wrong guy, basically. They have such a case in the Talmud where the angel of death was sent to go and collect Martha, the street sweeper, and he collected Martha the barber. Okay? It was Martha. It was the same name. What's the problem? It's this very strange caption in the Talmud. Okay? He took Martha the barber, the hair croffer, whatever you call it, and he was supposed to get Martha the sweet sweeper. And they go, well, wait a minute. They go, wait a minute. You got the wrong person. What do you do in such a situation? This person has certain more years to live, right? That's an account, and they don't play with the numbers up there of accounts. Those years of that person's life is stored. It has to go somewhere. So they say it goes to the people who are ma'avir al midos, who let go of. Okay? Ma'avir mem ayin vav yud resh. Okay? Anyways, it has to be somebody who's not particular about things. Particular is a big one, right? He's not particular. He's got to have things a certain way.
Not
These
OCD.
people? OCD is out. No 42-letter name for you.
No yucky.
Come back next lifetime. Okay?
No yucky.
Oh, man. Okay, v'chol hayodim. Oh, again, sorry. So, v'chol hayodi v'hizir bo u'mishamro b'tahara. People have to guard their sense level of purity, their thoughts, right? Ahuv lamala. So wait a minute. V'kol hayodiu. So anybody who they do make known this and is careful and he guards himself in purity, he's ahuv lo. He's beloved above and he's very desired below. He gains favor in everybody's eyes. The amaso, and fear falls on all of the creation, fear of this person. Not like, please don't hurt me, but there's a certain respect. People respect this guy, right? And he inherits both worlds, this world and the next world. Okay? Now it brings down in another tractate of Avodah Zarah, it says, right, that they brought Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion. Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion was one of the 10 martyrs who died during the Roman period. We have in our tradition, there were 10 martyrs, Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Teradion, Rabbi Ishmael, right, who died at the hands of the Romans. And there's a whole thing going on of why these 10 martyrs had to die, okay? Most people are the understanding that these 10 martyrs died because they were all reincarnations. That's right, Judaism believes in reincarnation. They were all reincarnation of the 10 brothers who sold Joseph. But since they sold Joseph, when we have in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, I'm giving you a lot of information here. Thou shalt not steal means don't steal people. Okay? It's not, because there's other verses in the Torah about stealing. When it means don't steal people. Okay? So, of course, they broke that commandment, being the 10 brothers, the sons of Jacob, broke that commandment. Therefore, their souls had to come down for the rectification of being handed over to the kingdom of Rome and die by the hands of the kingdom of Rome. Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion was one of those. Okay? So they brought him in, right? And they said, "What do you? Why you learn Torah?" Right? So he said to him, "Because that's what God commands me to do. God commands me to learn Torah." So therefore, immediately they decreed upon him to burn, and on his wife to die. Okay. So alav sreifa, he had to die. He had to die by burning. And by the way, his burning was not a simple burning. Okay. They put they put fleeces. They soaked fleeces of wool, and they put it on his heart, right? And they burned his extremities, but his heart remained cool, so he would stay alive.
Wow.
Right? Till finally, one of the guys who was involved in this whole process saw this, and the guy, this is just, I can't bear this. If you promise to get me in the next world, right? We'll let you go and burn right away. He says, okay. Okay, so then he took off the fleeces of wool. The person was dying, and then he threw himself into a fire.
Oh,
The guy himself. Okay, that's when they say, "What? This guy works his entire lifetime to get into the next world, and this guy just in 5 minutes." You know. Okay, still it's a different level.
He
You
gave
got
up his
in.
life.
What?
He gave up his life.
Yeah. Well, they would have killed him. The Romans would have killed him because he went over their decree.
Right.
So in any case, they brought him in and they gave him sreifa. Why did they decree upon him sreifa? Why in heaven was it decreed upon him sreifa? Because he meditated this name. Okay, in other words, he said this name explicitly, and you're not supposed to, right? Because he was meditating on the name with its letters, which is the 42-letter name of God. So therefore, one has to be careful, because if one is not on the level, okay, we got it. Okay? Now, since that we seeing that it is usher to actually say each one of the letters of this name, so therefore, we have this tefillah of Ana BeKoach. That just like what we said, that the top of all these letters, the first letter of each one of these prayers has in it the hint to the name of the 42 letters. By the way, one of the traditions is that Moses, when he killed the Egyptian man, he killed him with a 42-letter name of God. He didn't strangle him or throw him out of the scaffold. Okay? Baal Shem Tov says it was a 3-letter name of God. So some places it says a 42. He said the 42-letter name of God. Okay? However, okay, Im kol zos yesh li zaher meod b'tefillah zu. A person has to be very careful with this prayer. Therefore, it is fitting to say after it, and you'll see that it says, we say right after we say this prayer, we say this name, that you have to say it balachas, which means silently. You say Baruch Shem. You see a how right here. You see how it says here at the end in the English, the last line, it says, "Blessed is the name of his glorious kingdom for all eternity." Classic line. After we say the Shema, Hear, O Israel, Lord is our God, Lord is one. We have to say Baruch Shem. We say, "Blessed is his name, his glorious kingdom is forever and ever." Right? Not a great translation, but that's what people got. we have to say it silently. We're not allowed to say it out loud, except for one day of the year, which is
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur. But otherwise, we have to say it silently, okay? Because we're not on the level to say that name either out loud, okay? It's like an insult. The angels go like, who are you to give such a praise? Who taught you that? Hey, Rocco, look, pretty boy thinks he's got a big praise to the king. I think let's walk him over. We'll teach him a praise or two, okay? All the angels by then come from Brooklyn in heaven. Did you know that?
Don't you know that?
Only the tough ones, okay? Okay. Okay. So, B'parsha ve'ahavta shebekriya Shema, if you look in the parsha of ve'ahavta, the first paragraph of the Kriyat Shema, you'll see that there are 42 names, 42 words in that first paragraph. In other words, ve'ahavta e'ez Hashem elokecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha. When it says, you say, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. And right after that, we say this, Baruch Shem, quietly, blessed be his name. And then right after that, we have a paragraph, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. So if you look at that paragraph, it has 42 words in it. It's everywhere, okay? 42 is very significant. And if you look in the Siddur, many of the prayer books, and especially the ones that I have, you'll see in the book itself, in the prayer book itself, has written over it this prayer. Okay, each letter over each word.
And
okay?
it's where? Over where?
In the Shema. The first paragraph of the Shema has 42 words in that first paragraph. Okay? And then the next paragraph, which we won't get into, that has the 72 name of God. Okay, that comes from a whole nother thing. Okay?
Just from smoke?
Yes. Okay? V'hem mekavnim kegeneged, so those 42 words that are in the first paragraph of the Shema, right? So now, by the way, I noticed that certain synagogues they say this, they sing it.
Yeah.
What's the nigun that they do it in that shul? Now it's great you say this, but this has to be said silently.
Yeah,
even though that did they say it silently or they say it out loud?
Kind of. Some people it is.
Okay, so in the Zohar Chadash it says, "Hifligu b'malas ha'adam ha'makavim behem." It's unbelievable, the loftiness of the person who actually has kavanah in this. Okay? V'kein et tefillas ana v'koach tiknu lamar acha kriyat hakarbanos v'hakatoras. That's why we also fix to say also in the morning prayers every single day after we say the offering prayers and we say the incense prayers before we say shacharit. Okay? I have to just give you a little bit introduction of what this prayer actually does. Okay? I'm going to go back just a little bit. Okay?
We say this in the bedtime Shema.
Yes.
So this isn't specifically
So with this
limited
name,
to the Omer.
I'm sorry. Well, we're gonna tie it in.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was trying to figure.
Well, because you really want to know, as we say also, that these days of the Omer, these days in between Passover to Pesach, we're recreating ourselves. So with this name, this 42 name of God, right? Creation was made. Okay? It's very powerful. It's hidden in the first chapter of Genesis, the first few verses of Genesis. But basically he says, "BeKoach zeh Hashem," with the power of this name, Nivra Ha'olam, the world was created. Oh, I forgot to mention, why he died. Where did I see it? He would go ahead and seek these 40, the reason why Rabbi Hanina ben Teradion, they put him in fire was because actually he was using this name and he was doing things, whatever he desired.
Oh, he was manipulating it?
No, you can bring about things with this name. Okay?
Manifesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he died?
Not the golem. Okay? What? Not yet. That's different. Okay? A little bit more complicated, okay? But it's a lot of fun to do that. We did that on Shavuos a couple of years ago. We went through all of Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, and then the workshop after was at the back of Jovi's. We made a little golem. Just kidding.
Joey's.
That was
Where did he go?
the class project. Everybody, at the end of the
homework,
class,
was it?
everybody had to go and make a
goal.
golem in the back of Jovi's. Okay. Therefore, since that the world was created with his name, therefore a person has to have intention in mind. Right? The way that it is, go ahead and calculate it through the different permutations of the name from the verses of Bereshit. There are many, right? It's in other books, and we'll get into that. Like I said, this is just introductory, okay? Ve'et shemot hamalachim hakadoshim ha'achuzim b'kol od. There are names of angels, holy angels, that are holding on each letter from this name. In other words, each letter seems like multi-angels. Shemot hamalachim. There are names of angels. Timso b'pratut b'sefer hakana. You can find it in what's called the Sefer Hakana. Kana was the father of Rabbi Nechunya ben Hakana. Okay? Because his name was Kana, right? Nechunya, son of Hakana. Uma'at bior al kain. It's also, there's an explanation in another place. Ki segula shem zeh hu la'alos ulakasher et ha'olamot hatachton be'elyon. That's the essence. The essence of what this prayer does is it elevates and binds all of the worlds, the lower worlds to the upper worlds. Okay? So the way I read this, is basically and you do it in the beginning, right? Kind of, is because, you want to kind of get everything connected, right? All of the cosmic realms, the spiritual realms, and this realm. So it's almost like, throwing a hook, a rope hook, to tie everything together. That every single thing will be connected. So that's why we sang it before Shachrit. We say it after Karbanot, right after the offerings. And before we actually do the morning service, we say this because we want to make sure everything's set to go. Okay? Before you climb, you need a rope. Okay? So here's your rope. Okay? Otherwise, you can just stare at it and you ain't going anywhere. Okay? Okay, so I just don't want it to go back because I missed that. Okay. Okay, so, So also, ve'achar kriya shema l'misha alamita. We do it also after we say the blessing of the Shema before we go to sleep. Okay? And the minhag Ashkenazi is to say it after we read the karbanot and the incense offering in the morning, right? Before we say tefillat mincha. It's not the Ashkenazi. Actually, the Sephardi say it before mincha. Maybe it's in the Ashkenaz sidders, but they don't do it. Okay? But the Sephardim do it. They're very particular about saying, right, it all the time. Okay? V'yesh gam shenahagu la'amra b'Kabbalah Shabbos, like what we do, we say it also Erev Shabbat. So we have to just take a step back and get a sense of why is it said here, why is it said here, why is it said here, why is it said here. One thing we do have, it's binding all of the realms, the spiritual realm with the physical realm. Okay?
Do you know this guy?
Yes, I do. That's Simcha. Simcha Brick. Brick for short. Achar mizmor havu Hashem v'neilim, right? Like we have in our sidders, that's already there. Od acher hadlakas neiros Chanukah. We also say it after we light the Hanukkah candles. Also, we find the minhag Hasidim that they have a custom to say it on their table in the Suda. Okay, it doesn't say in Suda Shabbos. It doesn't say during the week either. Minhag Hasidim shenagu la'amra ala shulchanam b'toch Suda. Like what it brings in the Shar Mitzvot, Shetzarich Lamar Achar Mayim Achronim, that you have to say it after you do the Mayim Achronim, before Birkat Hamazon Mizmor Elokim Yechanenu Kulo Usugula Rabba. Am I on the right page? Yes. Usugula Rabba Nodas LaAmra B'Shas Lavias Ames. Also, it's a big segula that is known to say it in the time that they're escorting the dead.
Wow.
Okay. Ubahakafot Simchas Torah. They also do it in the Hakafot at Simchas Torah. So you see it said a lot. Okay. Okay. Kasav Rabbeinu Chaim Vital, who is the student of the Arizal, he writes in the book called Shar Kavanot, which is the Gate of Intentions, and this is his language. Ana b'koach gedula shemincha. A person should V'yomar kol shnei tevot biyachad. He should say every second word together. Ana b'koach, and he should stop. Gedula shemincha, stop. Tatir tzarura, stop. In other words, you do a two-letter sequence. Okay? Vanila yuzdaiti, and it appears in my humble opinion that the reason is that a person has to have the intention to everything that we have said by us already, that every single one of these names, ki kol shem elu hasheva shemot shel mab yeshbo shesh otiot, that if you count the letters, each one has 6 letters, and it divides into 3 aspects, right? The b'shtaim otiot yichaseh panav, b'shtaim yichaseh raglav, b'shtaim yalfeif. Not even clear on that, but I think what it has to do with the angels. Okay, the first 2 letters covers the face, the second 2 covers the legs, and the b'shtaim yalfeif, and in 2 he flies. Therefore, a person needs to connect every 2 letters together. Wow. Gam haya omer mori shavach ze b'ni'ima u'b'nikun. Also, my master, who's the Arizal, the biggest 16th century Kabbalist, said it's a praise to say it sweetly and with a tune. V'achar siyumo yomar baruch Shem, and after you finish it. Okay, so here we have the idea of how to say it, okay, because it's important in how you say it. 2 letters together. So just to go over this, just
Not
a
2
little
letters, 2 words together.
No, ana b'koach is you have to have intention for the letters also.
Oh.
Okay, so even though you'll see it's in groups of 3-letter, 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 still he's saying, when you're saying it, you have to say ana b'koach, stop, and then go on. Ana b'koach, gedula shemincha, tatir tzarura. Okay? Tefillah ana b'koach la'achar sfira. Now, why are we saying it after sfira? Okay? So in other words, if you're saying this and you're involved in this as a meditation, you have to make sure that you're very clear on what you want, okay, and how you want it, okay? You always have to be careful with what you ask for. I think anybody wise know that, okay? Famous story I always say, this guy, he's in ancient Roman times, the guy's he's carrying a huge bundle. It's hard. He's schlepping, carrying it a long distance. And he's walking, and he goes, boy, what I wouldn't give for a sheep right now. I could really use a sheep. That was his prayer, God, a sheep. So he turns the corner, and there's this Roman guard there standing, and he's got a sheep there. He says, you, carry the sheep for me. It's an extreme example, okay? But David Comet got a baby girl out of it. You hear me, David? Okay? Okay? So, we have to, Baruch Hashem, there's lots of power in this name, okay? And now we have an in here from here, how to say it, okay? Kasava Ari B'Seifel Shar Kavonot. So the Ari Uzal writes also in the book of Gates of Meditation, right? Gates of Intention. That's the name of it. Kavana means special intention. Gam yikaven kavana acheret. You have to have another kavana. Vahi b'shem ben mab haramuz b'rashi tevos ana b'koach v'hu ana b'koach v'chaveorav hem sheva shemot b'kol shem vav otiyot v'shvu echad tikaven l'shem echad shehu ana b'koach v'tichalkehu v'sheva yemei hashavua yahu b'zeh ha'ofen. So in other words, you have to have intention when you say this, because obviously what we're doing here is, why is this done in Sfirat HaOmer? So you'll see, obviously, if you'll count each one of these lines, there are how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines, right? So each really week is 1 line, and then the Shabbat of that week, whatever that is, the 7th day of that week, whatever that is all of them together. And you'll see that in here, you have it right here. This is I should have made more copies of this for you guys. Sorry I didn't. But you'll see in column 3 here, okay, it has Ana B'Koach Gedulas, has all of them. And then when it gets to day 7, it has all 6 of them here. So in other words, you'll go each day with one of the words, which is really one of the letters, And then finally, after you do to the 7th day of the Omer, after that 1 week of the Omer, you'll have all of them together. It's very much like the 6 days you'll work, and then the 7th day is like the gathering together of everything, okay? So the idea really is you have to have in mind that each one of those days, and it's also in that menorah one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is it in the menorah?
It's 7, 3, 6, and 1.
No, it's not in there. Sorry. So a person has to make sure that during the Sfirat Omer, that for each day is one of these letters, is one of these words, okay, which is really one of the letters. And he progresses because we said before, as we learned last week, to have these letters in mind is a tikkun for the soul. We say that in the Torah, right? How many letters are in the Torah? In our tradition, 600,000. For each 600,000 root Jewish soul. Everybody hooks up to one letter in the Torah. If there's one letter missing, the whole Torah is no good. Every Jew has his root in the Torah. And the Torah, which is the blueprint of creation, is made up of letters. Okay? So each person hooks up with a letter. You don't know what that letter is. Boy, you'd like to know.
Can we find out?
Sure, I could do muscle testing right now. Okay. So in any case, letters are very powerful. So to have an intention of a letter, and definitely to meditate on it, like that book there, right? Letters are extremely powerful. It's not, the Hebrew language is not like any other language, right? It's the king's language. God looked into the Torah and made the world. It's the blueprint. And the Torah is made up of letters. So the letters are the primordial building blocks of creation. So it's not like another language. They have huge significance. Okay? So when we think of the letters and we meditate on the letters, like in this prayer of Ana BeKoach, right? We think of the letter of that specific day, and what does it do? It draws a connection of our soul to the upper realms. Okay? That brings down a rectification for us. Takes one shade less. One shade less. We're all trying to get to aha. We all want to touch our souls. We all want to see reality in a higher sense, to have a greater sense of faith. And so this enables us as a tikkun to have that in mind every time we say one of these letters. Okay? So that's why you have to have each and every day of the Sphira, when you're saying the Sphira and you're saying this Ana BeKoach, it applies to one of the days of the Sphira. Okay? Does it follow? Are you following? Yeah? Okay. So he gives an example. The first letter is in the first night. The Od Beit is in the second night. The Od Gimel is the third night. And then right until the 7th night. And then the 7th night you say that particular whole line. Okay? You have in mind. Just have in mind. Okay? Shaychu Shem Mem Beit Otiot and Nirmaz B'Tfilat Ana BeKoach Liyamei HaOmer. Okay. So there's a sefer called Ohev Yisrael. And this is what he writes. Gulas am b'nei Israel miMitzrayim b'leil echad shel Pesach. The redemption of the Jewish people from Egypt was in the first night of Passover, and it was Haisa al Yedei his Galus Bechinas Yad Ramah. It was revealed that first night in a what we call Yad Ramah, high hand. Okay, when it says that the children of Israel left Egypt, they left biyad Ramah with a high hand. What does that mean? Right, high hand. Right. In the Aramaic, it says Baresh Galui. What?
Why the word Ramah? There are other words.
Yeah, there's a lot of other words. He's going to explain something. Okay? But in the going out of Egypt, that phase, Va'az nisgalu kol hamochin de galu. So that first night of Pesach, we say, there was a release, huge transmission of what we call mochin de gadlut. How we translate mochin de gadlut?
Expanded consciousness.
That's a good one. Thank you. Expanded consciousness. Ultra, unbelievable, expanded consciousness. Your epiphany, maximum. Well, also, mochin de gadlut would be also, just in a simpler sense, massive maturity. Listen, if we're mature people, you're in Amunah. If you're in a relationship with God and you're a mature individual, It's a different relationship as opposed to if you're an immature, spoiled child and you want your chocolate milk now. Okay? So, then Hashem's like, okay, we'll give you your chocolate milk now. Instead, it's like, I had something else in mind, But we'll wait. Okay? So maturity, of course, is really what we want to achieve, the ultimate. Because when stuff happens in our lives, your lives are ever like this, right?
The roller coaster of life.
Right, the roller coaster of life. Right? If you're mature, you're mature. You don't have a temper tantrum. You don't revert back to your 5-year-old self and have, and carry on, even though you're way older than 5 years old, and don't carry on like a baby. The idea really is emunah, right? This comes from God. It's for the good. I can hardly wait to see how the good is going to come out of this. That's mature, as opposed to everything else but that. Okay? So in the first night of Passover, we saw God. It was Cinderella at the ball, dancing with the prince. Okay? She met her destined soulmate, and it was the highest night of her life. Okay? But of course, we say right after that day, gone. Lights out. Poof. That epiphany, that high, was gone. Okay? When we had that expanded consciousness, so then became elevated what we call all of the holy sparks. Now, holy sparks is a whole other topic, people who you might be familiar with. When Adam sinned in the Garden of Eden, all of the sparks, they say, of his neshama, of his soul, flew to the entire world. And once that happened, because of the sin of what happened in the Garden of Eden, all of these sparks went flying from his soul, so then it became incumbent upon his descendants to go ahead and regather those holy sparks. This is Hasidic thought, that every single thing we ingest, we wear, we live in, we use, we drive, has holy sparks in it, and it's our duty here to elevate those holy sparks that are in those items, whatever it is. Could be anything from A to Z.
Not just the home we live in, the cars we drive, the things, the people. We're obligated to elevate the next person.
Yes, okay, yes. A rabbi has students, right? They say, but I'm just giving you an example. Moshe Rabbeinu, listen to this. The people who he took out, the sheep that he watched, they became his students in the next lifetime, okay?
Huh.
Right?
Would you see?
And they weren't going, meh.
You think yourself as one of those sparks.
We are a spark.
Yeah.
We are a spark, an offshoot of a bigger root. And then there's other sparks that we elevate via other people that we influence. Okay? And we all influence each other. But just for a simpler way to understand it. When we ingest food, there are holy sparks in that food that we take, that's really what gives us the soul its vitality. Okay?
So would you say you would honor the food before you eat it and eat slowly and be grateful? Is that how
Absolutely,
you all
and
eat
you
it?
have to have, and there's other levels, but that's
Okay.
just a simple thing is just to have intention. Why are you eating? Is it to satisfy just because it's appetizing and you like it, or is it no? I'm eating only to give strength to my body so it could serve God. That's the ultimate simple intention, and then there's deeper intentions. Okay, but the simple intention is I'm not eating for myself to satisfy me. I'm eating so I have strength to do good deeds. Okay? Anyways, so we elevated that first night and we redeemed all of these holy sparks from Egypt. We say that the head of Adam, say if you look at Adam and as being this kind of supernal cosmic man, that when he sinned, all of his body parts went flying all over the world into various sparks, right? So his head went to Egypt. So when the Jewish people came out, they came out with the head of Adam. Okay? And then, of course, Bavel was made most likely perhaps the heart of Adam. Okay? And so we have the head, the heart, but then there's the rest of the body parts. That's why we're out here in exile. We're getting them together. And you could get them together with intention or without intention. It's better to get them with intention because you do more.
Why is Bavel the heart?
I don't know. I just threw that out. Could be. But I don't, I'm just saying it's an important body part, the heart. So when we came from Bavel, that was a huge bringing, and Bavel was never the same when we left. Every time we leave a place, it's gone. Its life force is gone, right? No matter where we've gone, when we vacate that place, it was a superpower, big, huge thing, unbelievable culture. You'd think it'd live forever. As soon as the Jews vacate it, nothing. Okay? So it's because we take all the sparks out. Okay? Baal Shem Tov says that's why clothes wear out. It's not because of nature. It's because you elevate all the sparks. And then you send it to Goodwill for someone else to pick it up and elevate their sparks that they have to elevate in it. Okay? Yeah, bizarre. That's really why tires in the car wear out. Okay? That's why cars, if you're done with that car and time for a new car, it's because you elevated all the sparks in the car. Time for a new car. Walls of the house. Time to move. You elevated the sparks in that house. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea really is when they left Egypt, they elevated all of the sparks, and all of the sparks, we call it a redemption. It's called a redemption of the sparks. That's right. In that little piece of fruit, he's begging you to say a bracha. Because then you get me out of here. If you could listen to the fruit, get me out of here! Right? And when you say that, you released him from prison, the holy sparks. And there are souls in there. Okay. V'nig'alu kol ha'nitzutzin miyad ha'mitzrayim v'nis'alu. So then all of these sparks became elevated, and they claimed, and they attached themselves to their root, which is b'shorasham harama, their high root, the source of their existence. And immediately after that, Nitla mehem bechinat hamadriga zu hagadula. And instantly after they elevated those holy sparks, like I say, it was lights out. The aspect of that level of greatness, that epiphany, that high, was gone. And then the children of Israel needed to go and travel from place to place, from level to level, each and every traveling. Right? And each one of those places that they traveled was, right, one aspect, v'ot echat, and one letter of the name of the 42-letter name of God. In other words, if you look in, what parsha was it? Anybody want to remind me? Right? No. Yeah, right? Matos Maseh. Parshas Maseh in the end of the book of Numbers. The last parsha there brings these are the travelings of all of the Jewish people. Am I gone way past the time, you guys?
Oh, wow. How did that
I think
happen?
I'll start
Yeah.
about 10 minutes.
Dude.
It's right about an
When
hour
you're going to
now.
Rabbi. Okay.
We don't care.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we speak about this before. Please excuse me if I didn't mention it, because I had the Sunday class, and this class is kind of the same, right? It's just, it's the same basic stuff. If you count all of the sojournings of the people of Israel when they traveled through the desert, and they were journeyed from Ramses to Sukkot, and from Sukkot to this place, and this place, and this place, right? And they journeyed through, if you count them, it's 42 places. But the Baal Shem Tov explains that each one of those places is for the individual. In other words, each individual goes through 42 stages of development in his lifetime.
Everybody.
42.
Wow.
42 is very
During his
significant.
challenges.
So each one of the places that they traveled in the desert is revealed, right? B'kol masa nizgaleh is revealed, one aspect and one letter from the 42-letter name of God. That's why it's such a powerful name. It is your life, if you want to look at it. If you look at it yourself under your life or your travel, you want to see your map? This is it. Okay? This is where you're going. Where are you now? Well, that's muscle test. Okay? So, all right? Just a little bit more, okay? So each one of the journeys was 42 journeys. Each one was revealed a letter. And through this, but through the 42 journeys, it becomes elevated, the holy sparks that is in that journey. And then those holy sparks attach themselves into their root, in the place where they are brought out. Until that a person completes the 42 travels with a completion. Bechinat hagimel, what is this? Bechinat hagimel Yadot. In the aspect of what we call the three hands. What does that mean, 3 hands? Okay? We have in tradition, in Kabbalistic tradition, there are 3 hands. Yeah, you think there's 2. We don't know what a hand is. We see our hand, but that's not a real hand, and that's not what we call the cosmic hand or the spiritual hand. Okay?
But it's not related to the third eye.
Yad Ramah, Yad Chazaka, and I forgot the third one. I'll go back and I'll look at it. I see it all the time, and then
But it's not the third eye.
no,
Okay.
could be. Okay. In any case, the aspect of the 3 yadot, the 3 hands. That's why it says Yad Ramah. They went out with Yad Ramah the first night. And then after, they traveled for the 42 journeys. So then they enter into the Holy Land, the land of Israel, which is really, don't forget, the whole thing is a macro of our lives as well. When the people of Israel left Egypt, that's called the birth. When they go to Eretz Israel, they're going to their destiny. It's about birth and destiny, and in between, which is 42 stages of development. Okay? And then they come to this level by themselves, which was in the first night of Pesach, by through of what we call the revelation of what we call Yad Ramah, high hand. Ki bechinat hagedula hahi nilkach meitam Taketh achar leil rishon de Pesach, because that whole greatness, that whole huge influx of light and energy that they had was on the first night of Pesach, and it left them. Okay, it was taken from them. Laman asher yisatzmu be'atzmam, in order that they have to, from themselves, with all of their power, through the 42 travels, lachzor lavo el madriga hazu, you have to go back to that level. And this is how it is, the redemption of each and every person in Israel from the hand of his own Mitzrayim. In other words, everybody has an Egypt, and sometimes the Egypt is chasing you. Okay? You can take the man out of Egypt, but can you take the Egypt out of the man? Right? We say this all the time. And the 50 days, the 49 days, is that removing the Egypt out of the man. Okay? So there, each night, you're going through one letter, and then when you finish that week, you say all 6. So it ends up being 49. So the 42 plus 7 of the 7 Shabboses, the 7 ends of each week, ends up being a total of 49. Okay? The idea really is, we take part, and the idea really is, the first night of Passover was a freebie. Hashem gave us this unbelievable revelation of light. Then it was gone in order for us to work for ourselves through it. Okay? So basically, the 42 letter name of God helps us to get there. Okay? Helps us to make that connection and bring a tikkun to lead us and guide us along that path. We should strengthen ourselves. Okay? And this is just like I say, an introduction. I don't know if I'm going to go back over it, but, because it does have, we really should go through the actual prayer itself.
Yeah.
God willing, next week we'll do it, because here he has it here. Okay? So, how it's going to tie into Sfirata Omer, the actual prayer itself, you have to study, because you have to say it with intention. Okay? So, anyways, God willing, we have an understanding of what 42 is about, where it is, names of angels, in the Shema, Genesis, has creative properties to bring about things, okay? And have intention of how to say it, 2 letters, 2 letters, 2 letters, right? And it is taking part in our redemption, okay?
Chazak
Good.
U'Baruch.